5 reasons why runners should lift weights with their feet. Most people, including runners, have spent a lifetime of building up their muscles using weights, but never using movement patterns that actually translate to running by lifting weights with their feet. 1. Hip flexors. The biggest difference between the slowest runners versus the fastest runners is the size of the hip flexor muscle, with high-level runners having up to 50% bigger hip flexor muscles than the slower. But still, most runners treat their hip flexors like an accessory instead of a priority. And the truth is that little banded activation drills just aren't enough stimulus for our hip flexors for long-term change, because our hip flexors are way bigger and more powerful muscles than most people realize. So to build the strength in them needed for running, we have to provide enough stimulus, which means we need measurable load. So to make sure that they're developing properly and we're building enough strength in them for running, we build to our target of 20 reps with 10% of our body weight loaded. 2. Hamstrings. This is by far the hardest muscle to train from home, and unless you're at a gym that has a $4,000 hamstring curl machine, I can almost guarantee that your hamstrings are underdeveloped compared to the running that you do. Because when we run, it's our job to pull the floor with our hamstrings to move forward, and that requires a lot of impact through the hamstring. And to protect your hamstrings long term from having that impact going through it constantly, you have to build measurable strength in them. And by lifting weights with your feet, that becomes possible from anywhere in the world instead of relying on expensive gym machines, because now you have endless scalability of how much weight you're lifting with your hamstring in the same movement pattern as you use when running. The primary way that I've been loading these for myself and for other people since 2021 is with this monkey foot. It's linked in my equipment list, but you really can load with anything. Even with traditional ankle weights, you can start building that strength from home. 3. Shins. These are easily the most undertrained and overused muscle in the history of running, because most runners are just obsessed with building strength in ankle extension through the back, because that's what helps you run faster. But the more you build through the back, the more you have to match that strength through the front, or else you'll break down and always have ankle imbalances. Tibialis raises are the best way that you can strengthen your shins from home, and this is the option that we recommend in the first 8 weeks of Unlock. But ideally, at some point, we move to loaded reps, lifting weights with our feet, because we have much more potential to get stronger measurably using weights. But you can also see that we can remove the weights completely and actually start at a level that's way easier than doing them on the wall, which means when you start lifting weights with your feet, you actually have a greater range of scalability as well. So you have endless opportunity to go from literally zero level of ability to our target of 20 reps with 20% of your body weight loaded. 4. Flexion equals protection. When we run, we need to extend through our body to be able to push forward and run faster. That means hip extension, knee extension, and ankle extension. So when running, extension equals power, which incentivizes runners to overdevelop their extension muscles, which naturally leads to underdeveloped flexion muscles. So our hip flexor raises build that hip flexion strength opposite to the overuse, which is hip extension. Our hamstring curls are building that knee flexion opposite to the knee extension, which is overused by runners. And our tibialis raises build that ankle flexion opposite to the overused ankle extension that we use when running. I've helped myself and so many others to building their triple flexion, and it's clear the stronger you get at flexing these muscles, the more protected you get when running. And even though we've had so much success by building up our triple flexion muscles, there are still 0 clear studies on its effectiveness for running, even though these are the areas where runners are constantly getting injured. Reason 5 is we build beyond what's normal. So after an injury, you may be fine by doing the typical physio drills with less weight to get back to normal, but the long-term problem with that route is that your normal is what got you injured in the first place. Our goal in running ability is to not just get back to normal, but to build way beyond what's normal by loading weight with our feet. So you're not only recovering, but you're completely transforming your body in that process. By measurably building strength, by lifting weights with our feet week by week, getting stronger, this journey from a broken runner to a protected runner becomes possible for anyone. And anyone can start making progress right now, because in the first 8 weeks of Unlock, we have options for every movement that requires no equipment to get started. So that by the time you're ready to move to rebuild and then to targets, you've already removed all the limitations in your body first. So you have a clear route to improve your running ability by building strength and mobility in the areas that matter most by lifting weights with your feet.